Got into property about 2 years ago, and then since then I have taken on over 28 SA units. We want our properties to stand out on these online travel agency platforms. When he got told that, apparently he kicked a hole in the wall, and the council had to pay for us to get the hole replastered and pulled, and we're like, we ain't got the cash to put into this one as well. I'm making these people homeless, like what? What am I got to do? Sourcing it, and then like staging and management setup, like photography and all that kind of stuff. Making money there, and I'm not scared to admit that. A lot of people will say, oh, yeah, everything I touch turns to gold kind of thing. Like, I had a lease option agreement. I bought a 400 grand penthouse apartment for £1 and I had to give it back because the neighbour a dickhead.
What's happening, people? We're in Leeds today with Adam Hindley at one of his rent-to-SA properties. This property is primarily used for contractors, so we're going to go inside, have a look and find out how we got involved in property. So what's happening? We're with Adam. Nice to meet you, Gazer.
Nice to meet you, mate.
We're in one of his essays. So yeah, tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I've got into property about 2 years ago, and then since then I have taken on over 28 SA units, now branching into BRR. So a lot of people, I think, get confused that like BRR is and rent to rent, they're all entrance strategies. So like a lot of people go like, oh, when you're going to move to BRR from SA and that kind of thing. It's like, no, well, SA is an exit strategy, just like social housing, buy to let, anything like that. Like you renting it out at the end is an exit. Getting into property, rent to rent, lease option agreements, BRRs, they're all entrance strategies, so you compare any of them together. So I think BRR to SA is a super powerful strategy, and that's going to be something that I'm focusing on. But obviously getting into property when you're starting out, little money and not really like investing in yourself in education, I know you guys have done that too. But when you've done all of that, you're like, oh well, I'm not really in a position with loads of money, how do I get into it? Obviously deal sourcing and rent to rent is a great way to start, and that's what I did and built it up in 28 properties now. So
that's mad, mate. Are they rent to rents, they management, what's the...
Yeah, so it's a little bit of like, so I have 6 of my own rent to rents, and then the other 22 are ones that I've sourced to investors, staged and used my team to stage. So they've invested like hands off, and then we manage them now as well. So it's great to be able to get cash flow along the way. But I will say like the market of SA has changed a little bit, and like there's more demands in terms of there's saturation in the market. There's a lot more people doing it. Then we've also got like rates in, like interest rates going up and rents going up and all these other things. Landlords been a little bit more aware about what you're doing and wanting to take a bigger cut and all that kind of thing. Energy prices going up, so there's a lot of different things that have made the margins a little bit squeezed. And I think you've got to adapt to the market at the end of the day. You've got to do what you do, but let's take you around, let's show you what this is kind of like.
Beautiful property, isn't it?
Yeah, well this is like, we want to obviously make the property stand out, because at the end of the day everything you do is marketing. So like when we're thinking about, okay, these obviously like kitchen stuff, you need to make sure that everything's ready to live in. You've got your stuff like your microwave toasters and all that kind of stuff. A lot of the time we realise as people in property that service accommodation is like, yes, 100% we know that there's fully equipped kitchen, that you have drawers of cutlery and you have all this stuff and you've got pans and you can live in here straight away. But people that are coming in, contractors or the businesses, they don't know that. And that's like, so a lot of people just expect them to know. But then why we use bright colours and why we do things to put these kind of things out there is because we want our properties to stand out on these online travel agency platforms like the Airbnb, the booking.com and that kind of thing. So we'll go upstairs.
With marketing then, what's like one of the key things that you try to do when you market a property, if that makes sense?
So like I'm putting myself into my client's shoes, my guest shoes. So like what is going to make this property stand out? And I think this property is a perfect example for it. So you go like, okay, well, you've got Susan, who's the receptionist at the contracting company, and then the director's just gone, oh, Susan, will you book the guys some accommodation for next week? So they're going to see something that stands out. Susan doesn't know anything about Airbnb and service accommodation, so they need to make sure that there's stuff like hair dryers in the rooms. That there's, like I say, there's the cutlery and that kind of thing. And towels and stuff on the bed and like little things like that, because the guys aren't going to bring all that stuff. You've got to put your head space into your client's shoes. And then when you do that, it really helps your marketing. So she might really like the fact that there's bright colours and that this stands out and that everything's matching. But then she also might like, okay, well, I know the guys are going to get this, the guys are going to get that. So it's them kind of things that are really, really key. And I think that a property like this, you're going to have a team of maybe like 4 or 5 guys. We have zip and link beds. They go into 2 singles in that room we were just in. And like, this is like, obviously again, it's quite bright colours and things like that. I don't know how well the light is going to pick it up, but...
No, it's cool, it's not, I like the lights, man. They're pretty
but
cool.
yeah, it's like super like this little simple things that you just think, oh, well, if I put myself into my client's headspace and that kind of thing, then I'm really going to get the most out of my properties. And that's a big thing that why when I like market or even help people with marketing for their properties on longer term bookings, this is what we talk about, and this is what people just don't think about. They don't think about, oh, okay, well, this is how I really need to do it.
Yeah, so, and then I guess a question that everyone asks, and it's kind of, I guess the answer gives itself, but everyone likes contractors because of the money and the fact that they're booking longer term.
Yeah.
Is that the main reason you target contractors, or is there anything else that sort of goes into your decision to target that over shorter stays, if that makes sense? Yeah,
it's stability. It's the type of guest that you get. Like if you a service accommodation, the majority of people, you say Airbnb or whatever, they're going to be like, short term, let's like you stag dudes going away on holiday, weekends away, that kind of stuff. And they don't realise that like actually 60% of the night, this is a statistic that actually is true, like 60% of nights stayed in serviced accommodation are business stays. 60%. Right, okay. So majority of people, so there might be more bookings that come in for tourism and leisure and that kind of thing. Yeah. But then actually 60% of the bookings that come in, the nights that they actually stay is through business. Yeah, so obviously, like you say, it might take one booking to fill this property for 2 months. Whereas like how many leisure stays would I need to do that? And I'm never going to get 100% occupancy on that, and then realistically. With
finding the contractors then, because I know a few people that we spoke to have actually like messaged big firms direct to like get an exclusive contract. Yeah. Do you do that? Do you just market on Airbnb, booking.com, or what is it you do for that? Don't give away your secrets.
No. Well, I built like furnished accommodation is my management business. Yeah. And we've got our website on that, and then we post a lot of blog posts. We're doing a lot of stuff around SEO and that kind of thing, and just brand awareness for that kind of stuff. Okay. And then we do reach out to people direct. A lot of the time, like I say, a lot of people, you think about their booking mentality, you think about putting yourself in your client's shoes. Yeah. If we go back to Susie that we mentioned downstairs, she's not thinking, oh, I'm going to find an independent person that's got a property on Google. She's going airbnbbooking.com. Yeah. So you need to think about, okay, well, develop the relationship by marketing correctly on these platforms. Yeah. Then once they've stayed in your property and you've got contact details, get them in your black book. When they book again, wherever, or where's your next job? Do you need is there any option that you might have to extend? Like asking them about that, and then over time, with 28 properties, and then over time doing that with every person that stays, you build up a contact list, a relationship with people, so that when they actually do need something to come back to, they'll go, oh, them guys were good. Yeah. So and like it'll go. It's all about building relationships long term, then. 100%. Yeah. So it's like the contractors are just less hassle. They just get on with the stuff, and they're fine. Like the leisure stays, they expect everything to be absolutely pristine. So if there's a fingerprint on a fork, then you're gonna get.
Have you ever had like a bad experience with a guest before, like on short term or?
Yeah, so there was one actually. It was a property in Manchester that we don't have anymore because of apartments and head leases and that kind of stuff. Basically, the guest that was there paid an agency or something to put them in housing, and then the agency paid us. Right. Then the agency stopped paying us whilst they were still paying the agency. Oh. So it was really weird because we went round the day after they stopped paying, and then it was like, you're not the person that was on the ID. Kind of thing. And
dodge that, innit?
Yeah. And then it was quite bad really, because the people were like, they'd come over from Pakistan and they was working in Manchester and this kind of thing. Yeah. And I had to ring the council and be like, I'm making these people homeless. Like, what? What am I going to do?
I bet that was difficult though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, we found a solution, like they moved in with someone that we were working with and whatnot, and we helped them move and everything, but it's like, I'm not in the business of making people homeless.
But I guess that's where the line is though, isn't it? Obviously, you got to think morally, but you got to think from a business as well. When that line gets merged there, I don't want to be in that position.
But that's like, I mean, obviously I've been doing this for 2 years. I've got 28 properties and I've had one bad story like that.
Really? Yeah.
So it's like, realistically, you're always going to have problems with whatever business you do. This business has not been too bad for me.
That's rare. We've heard that because a lot of people are like, now we've had to throw people out for parties and trash the property and that. So is that because you're targeting the contractors, or is that just because of, I guess, luck, or what?
No, it's because we don't take shit. Basically, like if someone doesn't, no matter how long the stay is, no matter what it is, if they don't upload their ID in time, if they don't sign terms and conditions, if they don't, if their ID doesn't match the name of the person that's actually booking the property, then we'll cancel the booking.
So like, fuck around and find
yeah,
out,
we don't, no, it's not. A lot of the time, they're not our properties when they're rent to rent. They're not things that we can take risks on like that. Like we actually had, I don't know why, but Airbnb messed up and we actually allowed a one night stay. We never allow one night stays ever. But when we looked at the reason why, it was someone had graduated from their army. They were, I can't remember what it's called when they graduate from it, but it's like there was basically the ceremony for it. The parents were coming over for the ceremony and they put that in their reason. The ID matched. We Googled it. We found out that yes, there actually is an army ceremony going on. But like, these people are going to be fine. It's one night stay. So, but it's like, but if you don't check that information with all the other people, then that can be the problems. And like, obviously people, if you ask them what is your reason for your stay, which you should with everybody, then people might feel like it's a little bit intrusive sometimes, but it's not. At the end of the day, this property doesn't belong to me. I'm renting it off somebody else that's given me permission to do it.
Even if it did though, mate. Fucking, you don't want to come in and see a hole through the wall, do you know what I mean?
Exactly,
so, I mean, again, it becomes a grey line, isn't it? Because obviously people want their privacy, but then, like you said, you've got to make sure that it's legit while they're staying. They could be like, I'm visiting family, next thing you know, 80 people around the gaff.
Especially as well, a key thing that we have looked at is that there's a lot of people, especially around Manchester, they've tried to book and then they've got their contact address on there. And they live in Manchester, but they're booking a property in Manchester. It don't make sense.
I mean, I wouldn't book a property in Luton. You know
exactly. So, like, you're obviously up to something a bit shady there.
Of course,
I think there's a lot of stuff going around about like temporary accommodation or like social housing and these kind of things, and the money side of it is awesome. But I've done some temporary accommodation stuff with councils. You mentioned about horror story stuff before. We had one with a kid that was like kind of at risk of like child abuse kind of thing. I think his parent or an ex-offender or whatever, and they put him in one of our properties with a supervisor, and this kid had anger issues. We were getting complaints from the neighbours all the time, and then the one time where we actually said, like, if it doesn't stop, we're gonna have to kick you out. And again, don't want to be seen to be doing the person that's kicking a kid out of a property like that, but again, it's not our property. And when he got told that, apparently he kicked a hole in the wall, and like the council had to pay for us to get the hole replastered, and like we went in and that paintwork were a mess, like scratch marks down the walls. So I mean, the council paid for it, which was a job getting them to do that.
I can imagine.
But yeah, it was a tough one to deal with there as well.
Do you turn many of your rent essays into emergency accommodation with the council? Or
no.
Does that like want to put you off about it, or what?
It depends. Like, again, it's about having a conversation with them. It depends on that type of guest that you're going to get. Who is the person that is going to be staying there? Like, not the person that's booking it. Who is the person that's going to be staying there? Because obviously, like, the whole idea of temporary accommodation and that kind of thing is great, because at the minute, the council, the government is paying a crap ton of money to keep people in hotels. And then the whole rent social housing, that whole model works because taking on obviously the huge blocks and putting people in there means that they can give the councils a little bit relief in terms of the budget and like get like 10-20% below rates, but that still works for the person leasing the block. That's all you hear about it on social media. You don't hear about yes, there's the whole point of that, yes, you're housing vulnerable people and it's an amazing thing to do, but what are like the actual habits and routines of these vulnerable people? Are they going to be ex-offenders? Are they going to be drug addicts? What kind of impact is that going to have on the community in that area there as well? And obviously, like, we've seen that firsthand when we've put these council bookings in there. The neighbours to our property that we want on our side are losing their heads about it all.
Really?
And stuff
Did you get a lot of complaints from neighbours?
But it depends on the person that you put there. But it's obviously, this is the real side of what happens. Like hearing the numbers and seeing the numbers and just going, oh, that's a really cool thing to invest in.
Because we've had a lot of that. Like, a lot of people running SAs have tried to come to us and like, oh, can your provider do this, and this? And like, we're like, well, no, he won't do that, because obviously there's a slight risk in, because a lot of what our providers deal with is like sort of long-term tenancies. They don't want their tenant being a guest, because obviously, you know, it's a duty of care, isn't it? The other side as well is, like you just said, everyone thinks that social housing is a money-making scheme, but it's not. There's actually real people on the other end of it. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's mad, isn't it? And
obviously a lot of them say they're going to take care of the maintenance and they'll take care of all the management side of it and stuff, and that's cool, that's good, but it's like, the end of the day, when you're putting people in there for them prolonged period of times and that kind of thing, it's like the damage it can kind of be done, and you're going to have to probably facilitate that.
Do you think that's the same with any tenant though as well?
Yeah, 100%. I think that there's a lot more stability in the kind of social housing stuff, in terms of like, obviously your leases are a lot longer, and you could have a normal tenant in there and the tenant mess it up, and again you might not see your property in 6 months because of the tenant that's in there.
Yeah.
And again, that is kind of why I like the general SA stuff, like regardless of whether it's a temporary accommodation rather than it's a contractor booking or whatever, my cleaners are coming in here once a fortnight.
Saying, okay, yeah.
So we've got that.
Yeah.
We've got that
keep
check.
an eye on the property.
Yeah. So it's like, obviously we've got to monitor the standard of the cleaning, but we are getting that level of like eyes on the property and being able to see what's going on and making sure that things are held to a good standard.
Did you have to go through many cleaning companies, or was it like you found one and it just worked? Or
so we use a company that does everything. So the linen hire and everything, they bring their own linen in and they change the beds and that kind of thing. We've gone through a few. We're still going through a few now as time goes on. Like, we have issues, like there's a few issues here that I need to report back from us coming in and seeing this today. And yeah, it's just a matter of being able to kind of check it out. But there's a lot of other things that are like behind the scenes, which I think would be maybe quite cool to see. Like over in Harrogate at the minute, we've got some of my team are actually taking beds out of one property and putting them into another for facilitating bookings. And I don't, if we see what we had to do last time, because they've got single divan beds, you put like the zip and links on so that you can get more occupancy. We've got them in one of the properties, but we cannot get them up the stairs.
Oh really?
So they have to go out the window. So
is it just launching it?
I mean, I think the guys are overdoing that, so we can head over that way if you want and see that.
Definitely,
but yeah, I think that kind of thing will be cool to document and see. So yeah, after taking on them first three, we were just like, right, okay, well, I'm getting offered a lot more all of a sudden. Like, I've kind of worked out my script in terms of getting them over the line. So that's when we started. Like, the first two that we took on were in Liverpool, and then the other one was in Harrogate. And then I found another one in Liverpool, and we're like, we ain't got the cash to put into this one as well. So I sold it, and the guy that had sold it was completely new to property and was like, I don't really know what I'm doing. And we're like, we don't really have a management company, we're managing our own essays at this point. And we're like, well, we do have like 2 in Liverpool close by, we've already got the cleaners for them and stuff like that, so we can kind of run it for you if you want. And you're like, yeah, all right then.
You're making money on the front and back end from sourcing.
So then it was like sourcing it, and then like staging and management setup, like photography and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sick, man.
So you're making money there, and then you obviously make a percentage on the management fee, which is great. But then now I'm obviously looking at things a lot more long term, and I'm like, this model is good, but it has to be to the right type of investor, because a lot of the time people don't really think that. Again, it's that whole thing of that. I want to make £1,000 a month at 70% occupancy. Yeah. And after running 28 properties and knowing what it's like, that is bollocks. Like,
oh really? Yeah.
Month on month, like, is completely different. We're in July, August now. High months, yes, that is maybe achievable. Yeah. Going into your November, December, January, February, that isn't going to happen.
Right.
And it's understanding that that's not going to happen, and that, to be honest, the nightly rate fluctuates so much, the occupancy rate fluctuates so much, that you can't say, I want to hit this target and I want to do this, because it's not going to happen. Like, that's why I don't price like that. I go, okay, can we do, what profit target do I need to hit? Or what nightly rate do I need to hit? If I'm going to get a full month stay, talking about longer term bookings, contractors, that kind of thing again. If I'm going to get a full month stay, I want to make £1,000 a month. Yeah. What can I charge? And all of a sudden my nightly rate is a lot lower, because I'm obviously 100% occupied for the month. Yeah. But talking about your client avatar again, now when they're searching for a month-long stay, I'm cheaper. Yeah. So they're going to click on me more likely than clicking on somebody else.
You know, you look on Airbnb, booking.com, and obviously it gives you an average nightly rate per month, and you just sort of take an average conservatively, yeah?
Yeah.
But then obviously with your model, you're saying you're charging a lower rate, but you're getting longer term bookings. So would it make sense to take into account the avatar? Or how would you, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, basically, like, when we're looking at doing these kind of things, you've got to think about, so I classify it, when I'm stacking a deal, when I'm looking at a deal, you've got 2 types of analysis. And a lot of people forget about the first type of thing. I don't know if you've ever looked at like Forex trading or currency trading or stock shares. So whenever you're looking at things like that, they always talk about fundamental analysis versus technical analysis. Fundamental analysis is what's going on in the real world. Have the interest rates changed in a certain country? Is it going to boost the currency in that country or not? And then obviously the technical is like, what are the charts saying and what's all the stocks and shares saying in the area and that kind of thing. With property, it's the same thing. So like Leeds, for example, has done a huge development and they're developing over south of the train station in the Leeds city centre. That is going to naturally feed in a crap ton of contracting work and development work and builders and that kind of thing. So me having this property, which I know is less than 1.5 miles away from that area, is perfect for this kind of futuristic model of it. So I'm looking at my client avatar by looking at the actual regeneration work and the building work and the plans that's going on in the area. This is my fundamental analysis. Then I'll look technically, okay, well the rent on this property is this. I can charge this much to these types of people. To me, to make £1,000 a month, I need to make this, this and this. Does that stack and work? Now we've got a deal. So a lot of the people, the way people that are trained is like, look at the average occupancy in the area, look at the average nightly rate and how much you make at 50%, 70%, 100%. And that's how deals are stacked. But I don't look at it like that. I look at how much do I need to make. Rather than working out my profit at the end, I start with my profit at the top as like the key part of the equation. And then you work backwards to work out what your nightly rate is going to be. And then that makes it a lot more feasible to be like, okay, well if someone's staying for a week, I'm not going to give them as heavy of a discount, but if I know they're staying for a month, I know exactly what price I need to charge to make sure that I'm making £1,000 profit. Bang, there we go.
Do you still think the nightly rate in the area would affect what you can still charge, or is it? I'm trying to piece together in my head and obviously for the audience how you're doing it. Do you get me? So like, say I don't know, in the area the average nightly rate around there is like 150 quid. Then obviously to make your £1,000 a profit, you'd need to charge £200 a night. Would that be possible, or is it, do you still need to take into account what the market's saying? Do you get me?
That's that's your technical analysis telling you that that deal doesn't stack. So like if your rent is obviously that high that you need to charge the £200 a night to make that £1,000 profit, that deal doesn't stack technically. It might be good fundamentally, but it's not good technically. Vice versa. Like if you had a cottage in the middle of a field somewhere and then you're going, okay, well I want contractors to stay here, it's like, well fundamentally that doesn't work, but technically the numbers might work.
I get what you're saying.
So a lot of the time I say that if the average nightly rate is 150 quid, then I can make £1,000 profit at 125 quid a night. Then I'm undercutting the market by a good percentage. If I can be if I can be lower than the average nightly rate by 10%, then I'm in a good position. I'm in a good deal. So it's like that allows me to give a good considerable over 4 weeks. It might be like a 40% discount on
sick, man,
on someone's
so you're taking like the market and real life, buying it, and then that's sick. That's sick.
Because I think again, it's real life is real life, and I don't think a lot of people consider that as much as well.
Because I think when you are taught of from what other people are saying, like it's literally like you just said, Airbnb, Booking.com, find the occupancy, boom, package the deal. But then you're saying, because obviously I think when we sell a deal to an investor, we want to make sure that that investor's actually getting a chance. Obviously not every deal is gonna work out, because they could botch it up, or mate, fucking the sun could explode, you know what I mean? But it's what you're saying makes sense, because you're taking into real life factors as well, which I think not enough people talk about, innit?
No, exactly. And I mean, I've had deals that have been like, fundamentally great location, really good. Key things are all in place. Numbers work great, numbers work fine, and it's just not getting booked. I'm like, why the hell? And it just happens.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And it, like and I've had deals that have fallen through. I've had deals that I've had to activate break clauses on and things like that, and give back to landlords. And I'm like, these should technically work on paper, but real life has happened and they don't.
Same.
So it's like, and I'm not scared to admit that. A lot of people will say, oh, everything I touch turns to gold kind of thing. It's it's not real life, it's not business. So it's like, you need to show the low points. I had a lease option agreement. I bought a 400 grand penthouse apartment for £1, and I had to give it back because the neighbour, dickhead.
Is it?
Yeah, he had control of the building wasn't made very well, and he had control of the electrics and the boiler and in the building, and because he didn't like the guests that we had in at the time, he just turned the electrics off.
Yeah, bro, that's mad.
And he just kept doing it, and then the landlord took him to court and everything. I was like, I can't. You're charging me 16. The agreement was £1,600 a month on the rental for the lease option until we bought it, and I was like, I can't put anyone in there, I can't pay you because your tenant downstairs is
been a waste, man.
Yeah. So it were jokes, mate, but yeah, I mean, and sometimes you just got to bite your tongue and do it, and that like lease options like the gold mine of deals.
Not enough people talk about the dark side though, innit? Like,
no.
I mean, mate, the evidence is there, you can make bread, but not enough people talk about that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, and you don't want to get people scared of the industry because it is profitable, isn't it? But I think obviously with the good comes the bad, but not enough people talk about the bad because they want to flex on socials, isn't it? So
exactly.
I rate that, bro. No, fair play.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the whole point. But in the downs, there's always lessons in there, and if you can grow from them down points, and I think everybody experiences them down points, whether you're obviously in education, people say, oh, you pay for your education, or you pay for your mistakes, and all that kind of stuff, but it's like, nah, you've got to make mistakes as well.
But I think we were saying this to Rory when we went down to Bournemouth, like there's certain things you can't teach, innit?
No.
That of the geezer having the electrics and the fucking plumbing in his thing, you can't teach that, innit? So I think it doesn't matter. Bro, you can pay $1 million for your education. There's some things that like you have to learn like on the job per se. Do you know what I mean? Because not everyone can prepare for everything, bro. Like I was saying, if the sun exploded, that ain't in no chain. Do you know what I mean? So,